In this hand, I have two of the very best but most expensive brushes on the market. And in this hand, I've got two cheap and cheerful ones. And whenever I've done a video on cheap brushes or tools in the past, 9 times out of 10, they've always been a disaster because they never ever work. However, these ones look quite different, and it turns out after doing a bit of research, over 90% of people who have reviewed these have actually said they're pretty good and they've given them a 4 or a 5-star rating. So I wanted to find out whether they were telling the truth.
Over the past few years, in pretty much every video, you would have seen me using these Wheel Woolies at some point. And there are plenty of variations of these, and they are incredibly durable, but one thing that comes up in the comments section on a regular basis is the price. But I do get it, there are so many people who are new to the business and they can't yet afford to invest heavily on these types of brushes, and that's understandable. And with money being tight for many people, you will always want to find a cheaper solution. So what I'm going to do today is try and highlight all the pros and cons to these ones, which I bought off Amazon. But it seems only right that we compare these against a premium brand that I use. And I want to start off by looking at the build quality.
These Wheel Woolies right here have no metal, and that is a good thing because no metal means no rust. No rust means no particles in your bucket, and no metal means no scratches on your wheels either. They're totally safe, and that's why they've always been my favourite brushes.
And it doesn't stop there, they also hold tremendous amounts of water, as you will see here in this footage. But what about the cheap ones?
The first thing I've noticed is the foam handle. It's nice and comfortable. You also get a rubber tip here which basically protects your hand from getting scratched a little bit, and it reduces the risk of any splashback.
These ones also have a clever party trick. They can actually bend, which means you don't need to fork out extra money on the angled caliper woolies. And the large ones still manage to hold plenty of water, albeit not quite as much as the thicker woolly. So let's begin by seeing how they compare in real life situations. Today's test subject features my Nan's Fiat Punto, which was due its monthly clean. So after filling up my buckets and getting organised, I was ready to go. So I'm starting off by using some wheel cleaner, followed by snow foam, and the first brush I'm going to use is the skinny one. And I wasn't going to go light on these, so I did give it a fair bit of force, and amazingly it held up pretty well without bending too easily. And bending it a full 90 degrees meant that I could get behind the alloys and get all the bits that you wouldn't normally see, just to give them an extra deep clean, so I absolutely loved using this one. Next up was the caliper and the thin woolly, and both of these are still brilliant, especially the thin one, because it has incredibly good flexibility. And for cleaning areas like the front wheels where you have very little space, they pretty much have you covered. Now for the cheap thicker woolly, it was business as usual, and I can really see why people like this one, because it certainly doesn't feel like a low quality tool. And in fact, I didn't actually mind the idea that you could bend it because it was easy to navigate around the wheel. Now on to the real reason why I've chosen this thick wheel woolly for this video, and it's to show you what improper use can do to it. As you will see here, it does fit the gaps, but because it's a tight fit, you actually find that it starts to shred, and you end up finding more random hairs than a McDonald's toilet seat. So even the premium brands aren't invincible. But this only happens if you're using the wrong size. But for larger wheels, these are pretty good, because not only do they hold more water, but they can also have the added advantage of being extra long, so reaching the back of the wheel without catching your hand is really beneficial. So it's time to compare the prices of all the wheel brushes featured in today's video. So I've done a bit of shopping around, and the premium wheel woolies can be bought in a pack of 3 for around £54, but do remember that prices will always go up in time. And the caliper ones cost around £22 to £29. So for all 5 wheel woolies, the best price I could find was around £76. And the ones I featured today cost just £13.99 on Amazon. But here's another thing. Out of the 2 I used here, the thin one was plenty good enough, and the thick one wasn't too thick. And let's not forget they bend, so when you consider you don't actually need to buy the caliper woolies, you soon realise that these are actually a lot better than you would expect.
But I don't want you to get too excited just yet, thinking, oh, they're going to be the perfect solution, because time will tell. I'm going to be running these now for the next 6 to 12 months, provided they last that long, of course. I'm going to be giving regular updates on these brushes to see how far I can actually push them.
So if you're a car cleaning enthusiast, I'd definitely give them a chance. But as somebody who's in the business who demands quality, then I always say that the Wheel Woolies are the undisputed champion.
And if you want a complete rundown on cheap products to start off your car cleaning business, I have a dedicated video for you right here.